C30 isn't quite the sort of car we've come to expect from Volvo, which is just one of the reasons why we like it. This improved version is sharper to look at and can be sharper to drive too. A desirable option then in the compact three-door premium hatchback sector for younger buyers who don't need the rear seat legroom and boot space that a car of this size can't offer. Being a Volvo, it's safe and well built too.
What do Volvo cars mean to you? They're Swedish, they're safe, they tend to be a little bit boxy. If that roughly sums up your knowledge of the brand, then maybe it's time you gave it another chance and tried something like this, the C30 Sports Coupe. Now, this car first arrived with us back in 2006, proving the existence of a real spark in contemporary Swedish car design, and harking back to distinctive previous Volvos of the past, like the 480 of 1986, and perhaps the more legendary P1 800 ES used by Roger Moore in the 60s TV series The Saint. The Nordic brand insists on calling this car a sports coupe, but as you can see, the reality is that it's a premium three-door hatchback designed to take on models like Audi's A3 and BMW's 1 Series, territory new to Volvo. Now, buyers in this sector want an expensive-feeling compact car that's desirable, low and wide, with big wheels and 4 seats, which is exactly what the C30 delivers. What many of them also want is a dynamic driving experience, and here the car was initially less successful, which is why when the time came to introduce the facelifted version, which arrived here early in 2010, buyers were also offered the option of an accessory styling kit and a tauter sports chassis. First, Volvo had to get its cars looking sporty. Job done. This model and others like the second generation S60 are certainly styled purposefully. Much more difficult was to get roadway and driveway experiences to tally up. The original C30 wasn't as rewarding as BMW and Audi buyers expected. The handling not as sharp and agile as the looks. Now, not everyone wants this, of course. Somebody who might otherwise buy a Mercedes A-Class certainly won't, which is why Volvo has made its solution, the optional sports chassis that I've got fitted to this car, an extra cost item. For around £400 more, you get a much sharper feeling car thanks to a whole package of stuff. A faster steering rack, 30% stiffer springs, and tauter dampers too that have been designed to build up pressure much more quickly. Body rolls, much better controlled too, thanks to a lower centre of gravity. The car rides 10mm lower to the ground, and stiffer roll stabilisers. Now, almost inevitably, there's a price to pay for all this in terms of a stiffer ride, but at least you don't notice it too much at higher speeds. My advice would be to try both sport and normal setups before you buy. Otherwise, things are much as before in that the more powerful C30 models feel slightly nose-heavy through the twisty stuff, but traction is so good that you can slingshot out of bends with very little drama, and very little also in the way of torque steer. Wet grip off the line isn't the greatest, but lateral grip is superb. Now, engine-wise, things are also much as before, with diesel generally being the preferred option. There's a choice of a couple of 1.6 litre units, a 109 PS power plant for the frugally minded drive version, or a slightly more powerful 115 PS unit for the D2 variant. Then there's the 150 PS D3 that I'm driving here, or 177 PS for the top diesel model, that's the D5. Petrol motorists must choose between the entry-level 100 PS 1.6, the 145 PS 2 litre, or the 230 PS turbocharged flagship T5 model that has a gloriously infectious 5-cylinder engine note. Even in the entry-level 1.6 litre petrol variant, 0 to 60 can be dispatched in 11.2 seconds or 9.4 seconds in this D3 diesel model. But you'd have to be very quick at crashing through the 5-speed, or in this case 6-speed manual gearbox to get anywhere near those times. Fortunately, I'm not at all sure that I'd really want to go much faster than that in this car, although if you opt for the 230 PS T5 turbocharged variant, which gets to 60 in around 6 seconds on the way to a top speed of nearly 150 miles an hour, then you certainly can. The smartened front end, with its larger air intakes, new headlamps and honeycomb front grille, is certainly more dramatic and expressive than that of the original, echoing a look perfected by the C30 Sports Coupe and S60 saloon models. You'll need to specify the optional styling accessory kit, however, if you really want to get the dynamic look that the original designers first intended. Otherwise, the design recipe, though, remains exactly as before. Built at Volvo's Ghent factory in Belgium, the C30 offers room for 4 adults and the option of folding the rear seats flat to create useful luggage space. It shares the same wheelbase as Volvo's S40 Saloon, but the tape measure shows this car to be 22 centimetres shorter, and it shares not one panel with its four-door stablemate, its wheel at each corner stance instead offering a very different look and feel. The compact shape inevitably means that boot space is at a bit of a premium. Still, at 433 litres, it's not too bad, and if you need more, you can push forward the split folding rear seats to free up 947 litres in total. Now, if you have got stuff to carry, the use of a glass panel here rather than a proper rear hatch means that the loading aperture is small and the lip high. But style doesn't come without a few sacrifices, and there are lovely design touches everywhere you look, from the horseshoe tail lights to the deep arc of the rear glass and the pumped up Volvo shoulders that run from the front to the rear lights in one uninterrupted sweep. It all continues inside too, most notably with this floating centre console that's attached top and bottom but has open space behind. It's easy to get comfortable at the wheel too, thanks to a wide range of seat and steering wheel adjustment. And the upper dashboard has dense, soft-touch plastics that underline the way that everything really feels quality and built to last. Only storage space could be better. The glove box is mainly accounted for by the handbook, which leaves only a couple of small door pockets, the space behind the floating stack, and 2 drinks holders by the gear stick. Getting in the back could be easier, but once there, even taller adults should find acceptable standards of both head and legroom, as long as the journey isn't too long. Those like me with a trio of small children may be a bit disappointed that you can't fit 3 people back here, but at least those who can be accommodated get a good view out, thanks to the way that the seats have been pitched slightly inwards of those in the front. Prices lie in the £16,500 to £20,000 bracket, so the C30 sits somewhere between mainstream sportily orientated 3-door hatchbacks like, say, Citroen's DS3, or premium badged compact hatches like 3-door versions of Audi's A3 or BMW's 1 Series. Whether you choose a 1.6 litre diesel or this 2 litre diesel power plant, or agonise indeed between 1.6, 2 litre or 2.3 litre petrol units, you should find that your C30 comes well equipped. All models come with electronic climate control, power windows, leather covered steering wheel and gear knob, a decent CD player with aux input and alloy wheels. And there are nice design touches fitted as standard too, like the water repellent glass used in the wing mirrors and side windows. Here water beads up on the glass and the airstream quickly clears it, leaving unimpeded visibility. And safety-wise, well, of course, some things are reassuringly Swedish. DSTC, that's Dynamic Stability and Traction Control, is standard, but if you really can't avoid an accident, as well as the usual airbags and seatbelt tensioners, this C30 serves up whips, that's a whiplash protection system, SIPs, that's a side impact protection system, and there's even the option of BLISS, that's a blind spot information system that keeps you from dangerously switching lanes in front of another car. Thanks to its start-stop technology, the 1.6-litre diesel engine in the drive model helps owners achieve a combined fuel consumption figure of 74.3 miles to the gallon, which means a potential 857 miles from every tank full. That's brilliant for a car of this class. CO2 returns of just 99 grams per kilometre also mean that owners are exempt from vehicle excise duty. Even the standard variants are pretty affordable to run. This 150 PS diesel D3 variant manages 55.4 miles to the gallon on the combined cycle and 134 grams per kilometre of CO2, while the entry-level 1.6 litre 100 PS petrol returns 40.4 miles to the gallon on the combined cycle and 167 grams per kilometre of CO2. Residuals are somewhere between the mainstream and the premium brands, and insurance groups range between 7 and 16. 3 out of every 4 C30s sold goes to someone who's never owned a Volvo before, and you can see why. This car is exactly what you wouldn't expect a Volvo to be, whilst building in all the virtues the brand has made its own down the years. This improved version's sportier looks and optionally stiffer chassis bridge the gap to dynamic rivals from Audi and BMW. And if you choose the right C30, then class-leading running costs can be on the agenda too. Overall then, a highly desirable alternative to other premium small cars.